And I would just encourage anyone that's listening to try it.
Yeah.
Like, just give it a try. It doesn't mean that you have to do it forever. Nothing has to last forever.
Right.
And that's the beautiful thing about when you create a flexible organizational mindset is that when you have flexibility, then you have the capacity to be able to switch things around where
Right.
needed.
Right.
We can switch our schedule. We can switch out our support system. Like anything's possible. We don't have to stay in any kind of box, any kind of specific paradigm or framework. Like we can evolve.
100%.
And so why not try it for a month, 30
Right.
days,
Right.
get more support and see what happens.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Alday Townsend, your host. This podcast is for doers, dreamers, and those trying to decide what's next. I, along with amazing guests, will be sharing stories of success, failure, and what's to come. Thanks for tuning in. Hello and welcome to the Stroke It podcast. I'm Alday Townsend, your host. I'm so excited to be here today with one of my dear friends, Genesis. Hey Krick. Genesis and I met back in 2023. We were both speaking at a local event, sharing our stories, and the room was just so powerful, and we instantly became friends. We have done a lot together over the years, and Genesis actually hosts a lot of events that I've been part of most recently, and she hosts a lot of them at my music school here in Sarasota. She has so much great value to add. We're going to be talking about how to enhance your life by creating the morning routines. Genesis does so much when it comes to mindset, health, and just she's a mom of four, which she's going to tell you more about. So she's a complete rock star. We're going to be talking about strategic leadership as well. So if you are a business owner, you're going to want to tune in, turn it up, try to reduce any distractions if you can. And you're going to have a lot of great value to take away from today's episode. So thanks so much for tuning in. And Genesis, thanks for joining me.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here. We've been talking about this for a while.
Yes, we have. And Genesis actually has her own podcast too. So it's kind of fun to like reverse the roles and sit in the guest seat for sure. So before we get into it, definitely share with our listeners a little bit more about you, your business, and what season of life that you're in.
So as you said, I'm a mom of four. I've been happily married for 10 years and life is busy. As we were talking about offline, we were talking about the behind the scenes and all the things going on. So it is a really busy season. There's a lot happening and it's an exciting time because I think that for many of us entrepreneurs, we're looking at so many different ways. And this is one of the things that I really want to lean into, but ways that we can integrate our families in everything that we're doing. And I know that that's something that's really on the forefront of what you do here at Music Compound is helping families to thrive as entrepreneurs to build out an amazing life, a life that they love, a life that they can wake up to and feel like they're thriving instead of surviving, like they're actually getting out there and just having fun. Right. And I feel like that's what so much of what I'm about is like the focal point. I just want people to feel that they have hope, that they have the ability to really achieve what they want. I mean, this is a short life. Time goes by fast. We were talking about an hour. Hour goes by like that. Every single day is important. And so my background as a mom of four and just like doing all of the things, trying to find that life balance has worked well in my career because as I've grown as an individual, I've been able to develop strategies to also help families, help high-performing entrepreneurs, individuals to better their lives through not only the strategies, but also the mindset behind understanding what it takes to be in that space, to have the energy to build themselves up, to be where they want to be, do what they want to do, experience life in the greatest capacity.
I'm so proud of you. Honestly, as you're here articulating like what you do and how you do it, and obviously I follow you on social, so I see you at the gym every morning. I see you doing your walks. I see you doing your Bible study. I see you doing your journaling, and I feel like you live so authentically. And I think that's what makes you so powerful because so many of us are hiding behind a mask or we're afraid to be authentic or we're afraid of the judgment. Like you just are very true to who you are. And I feel like that is amazing. And that's how you can incorporate that into obviously your business coaching too, which is helping people come out of those shells and live authentically in the life that they really want. Because as you said, it's so short.
And I think showing up authentically, like on camera without makeup or just popping on whenever you can, I think it allows people to also have permission to just be themselves and fully embrace that season wherever they're at. Because we all have ups and downs, like especially entrepreneurship is full of it's a roller coaster ride. Like there's tons of valleys and tons of mountains, and we're constantly figuring out like what's next? Like what's the next best thing? Where am I going from here? And so when we can show up authentically and encourage others to do the same, it allows us all to recognize that, every single season is important, it's meaningful, and we have the ability to learn from it. And it's just like a testament for those that maybe do feel stuck sometimes, that, regardless of our health or just our overall our being, because sometimes we don't feel like showing up. We don't feel like doing the work that we still can. Like
Right.
so we still can be a light in someone else's life. And I was actually listening to a podcast this morning about just that we are all our own light. Like
Right.
and we can be a light to everyone that we interact with, whether we give a smile, a word, just embracing where we are and helping others to do the same. I think it just makes such a difference in the dark world that we're in, because there's
Yeah.
so much out there. There's so many people that are internalizing what they're seeing, what they're listening to,
Right.
the individuals that unfortunately are not pouring positivity into them. So, in whatever way that I can, kind of circling back, I just feel if I can even at bare minimum share a positive word of encouragement, then I've done something to make a difference.
100%. And there's so much negative chatter and there's so much
Yeah.
self-doubt and there's so much judgment. There's so much shame. I mean, I'm in a child-based business and I hate to say this, but there is so much shaming and judgment just around moms and how
Yeah.
everyone has to do it. I mean, we were just talking about this when I
Yeah.
went and had coffee, like the whole Valentine's Day thing. Like
Yeah.
there is so much pressure to deliver on a daily basis when we're all exhausted. And I love that you're like showing that you're exhausted too at times
Yeah.
so that you can like connect with them because I think as you said it gives them permission to say, "Hey, I'm human. It's okay that I'm not going to be on 100% all day every day."
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes it's like there's so much just pressure. Like I'm not a
Yeah.
mom. I can't imagine being a
Yeah.
mom and I know that you work with a lot of mom entrepreneurs as
Yeah.
well. So thank you for sharing all of that. That was really inspiring and insightful. So let's talk about you a little bit. Like, how does Genesis do every single day? Like, how do you wake up really positive? How do you keep the motivation? How do you keep the energy? How do you keep the household like in order while you're running a company? I mean, I know all the things you do because we're friends, right? But I think that a lot of times, and this is what I hear from other people, is, oh, I don't have the time to go work out. Oh, I don't have the time to read that book. Or I don't have the time to do this. And I was just talking with Alyssa this morning and I was like, hey, how's the podcasting going on the treadmill every morning? Not doing it. Like there's always an excuse not to take
Yeah.
ownership of their time and do them first and care for themselves first and foremost. So they can be better for themselves and others. So I would love for you to share with the listeners how you make the time and you
Mhm.
prioritize that to
Yep.
where you can actually do that for yourself.
Yeah. And that's such a great question. It's such a loaded question
It
for
is. I'm
so
sorry.
many of us. And no, I'm glad that you asked it, because I want people to know from the outside in that are looking at my life, if they think that I have a perfect life, I definitely don't. And I make a lot of mistakes and I cry, and there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that are unexpected. But the one thing that I will say about myself is that I always show up.
Hmm.
And I show up in a way that I look at myself in the mirror and I say, "Who do you want to be today, Genesis? Who do you want to be? And who do you want to impact? And how do you want to impact the world?" And so even when I'm having a really difficult morning, which definitely happens from time to time, I'm either, exhausted from the night before, or sometimes we just don't feel good. I have Hashimoto's, so, that's kind of hit or miss depending on the morning. And so I just recognize that mentally, if I can mentally equip myself, then everything else is going to fall into place. Doesn't mean I'm going to have a perfect day, doesn't mean that every single thing is going to be checked off my to-do list, but it does mean that I'm mentally preparing myself for anything that's to come. There's a lot of the time there's going to be distractions, there's going to be things that are unexpected, especially with 4 children.
Right.
And because I recognize that, I think it's taken the burden off. Like, just in the expectation that there are gonna be things that don't work out perfectly, but that I give myself grace in as many things as I possibly can. So, throughout the day, I do have my time blocked out. I batch as many things as I possibly can that are similar, and I do have a support system. I do have things that I outsource every single day, and I've identified the things that are coming up for me again and again and again that are difficult,
Yeah.
and I'm, like, finding myself essentially at a crossroad, and I'm like, I physically can't do this anymore. I don't wanna do this anymore.
Right.
And so there's things that we can look at where once we fully identify that and we've been experiencing it over and over again, then we can start to seek the right kind of help that will allow us to step away from that.
Yeah.
And so that might mean outsourcing, getting your house clean once a week.
Right.
That might mean having a more thorough conversation from with our husband. Like,
Right.
we need to talk a little bit more in depth about what our needs are from a supportive standpoint and
Right.
even from our children or,
Mm.
how to get the children involved in participation. Like, what is it around the house that is just so overwhelming that it keeps coming up again and again that I feel like I can't handle all this on my own.
Right. Right.
But first we have to identify the things, right?
Mhm.
And so some of that is just really taking time for more self-awareness.
Yeah.
And as busy entrepreneurs, as individuals that are leading businesses and organizations, a lot of the time we are just going through one thing to the next, and we're not truly taking that time to thoroughly assess what our needs are. And that's why, especially in the morning, if you can take the time to really assess outside of the affirmations, outside of deciding, like, this is who I'm going to be, what do I also need
Yeah.
in order to show up as that person?
Right.
And every day is a little bit different. And so that's why it is a daily practice. It's a
Yeah.
daily requirement if we really truly want to be thriving. Because if we just wake up and we throw our clothes on and we're
Go through the
automatically
routine.
going to someone
Yeah.
else by, serving them, helping them out, then we're not preparing ourselves for the load that's ahead.
Right. So I want to ask you two questions. The self-awareness, I think, is
Mhm.
key. A lot of
Yeah.
people just are not very self-aware, or they just think, oh, this is how life is supposed to be, or they're not doing the time audit. They're not really assessing where they need to make changes or where they can really become more aware of themselves. So that's going to be the first step, is how do they become aware, or what are some things that they can take note of, whether it's the time audit or other things, to become aware of what they actually need and
Mhm.
identify those things so they can have the conversations with other people.
And I think, again, that starts out in the morning, disciplining ourselves to take the time to just be present and be in a space.
Okay.
Because, again, every day is a little bit different. So that self-awareness is the ability to see what are repeated patterns, what are things that are continuing to come up for me. Is this an area that absolutely needs work? Or do I see myself coming to this space over and over and over again, and again, feeling a certain way? Because our behaviors are going to dictate our patterns, and our patterns dictate the results of
Right.
what we're ultimately going to be able to achieve throughout the day.
Right.
So, throughout the morning, even if it's not immediately after you wake up, but within that first hour, I would say sitting down and just literally taking some time to breathe, even if
Okay.
it's 5 minutes,
Yeah.
5 minutes of your day, just reflecting on who you're ultimately becoming,
Okay.
your current state and then who you're becoming.
Yeah.
And I think to myself every morning about the bridging of the gap,
Mhm.
because we're always growing. We're always looking at this next place that we want to be, this next level. And in order for us to really understand that, we have to be able to imagine. We have
Right.
to be able to have a vision constructed
Mhm.
so that we know what we're working towards. We
Right.
can develop clarity for continuing to become that person.
Right.
So every morning can be magical where we sit in a space, like I said, even if it's just 5 minutes, where we can imagine this person that we're continuing to become. And as you've probably read and,
Mhm.
done work on yourself, like the more that we incorporate that kind of work, the more it becomes part of our subconscious.
Yeah.
And it's part of that, belief system
Right.
and that understanding of what it is that we're working towards.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we all want to be happy. We want to have joy. We want to feel filled.
Yeah.
And from a productivity standpoint, I always think less is more.
Mhm.
So if we can minimize the amount of things that we're doing in the morning to prepare ourselves for that workload later, it fills us with energy.
Right.
We have more energy
Yeah.
to be able to carry through everything else that we're going to be doing.
Okay. Yeah, and I think just noting some of these things down too would probably be important. Like for me, I've been having more migraines than I've had in the past, and I started tracking them on the calendar now. So I
Yeah.
can be like, okay, this is coming up. This is coming up. So I can try to see if there is like, is it something I'm eating? What's the pattern in getting these migraines? So I think
Yeah.
find that. One other thing I wanted to ask you too is when I think of, I have a lot of girlfriends. They're all married. They all have children and all the things. And one thing that they struggle with is asking for help. And even with some of my team members, and Alyssa and I have been working together for 9 years too. And I think that this could be used in business too, is where we don't really delegate, we don't ask for help because it's one, again, we want to be successful. We want to check the boxes. We want to be
Yeah.
so proud that we did all these things. But in the day, it's really not serving us, right? Like no one's saying, great job on handling those 10 things today. Some people don't even notice what you're even doing. So how can anybody that's listening, whether they're a mom or they're a CEO or they're just even a team member, ask for help? Like, can you talk about the mindset shift of like letting go of that control and that
Sure.
having to do all of it because it's not serving you?
Well, really what it comes down to in my belief
Yes.
is that it's a pride thing.
Okay.
And it's a set of expectations that we have of ourselves.
Okay.
Like we have to do this because it's who we are. So
Right.
it's like part of our identity is tied up in the things that we accomplish.
Right.
Once I realized that for myself, that even something as silly as like picking up the toys or doing things around the house, once I realized that for me, it was more about like performance and personal expectation and not as much about just like, completing a task, I was like, you know what? I can outsource this because it's not it's not a frame of reference of who I am as a person.
Right.
And that's what I was holding on to for so
Yeah.
long.
Yeah.
And even with any of the emails, like the things that I was doing with my business, like personally sending
Yeah.
everything out, same thing. I was directly tied to that. And I felt that I'm wrapped up in this. This is my baby. This is my thing.
Yeah.
I'm kind of guilty because I need to be attached to this. So there's so many emotions that
Right.
are attached into it. But when you realize the things that really truly light you up, that you are most passionate about,
Yeah.
and you recognize that these things that I'm doing are not serving the greater vision and I'm not allowing myself to expand and grow
Yeah.
because we only have so much time. I'm
Right.
taking myself away from the most profound pieces of who I am and the ways that I could show up in the world. And I'm focusing on these more like
Right.
minute,
What's that?
minuscule tasks. And so when we kind of reframe it that way and we say, it's not about me taking myself away from these things as much as it is about the ability for me to show up so much more profoundly in the world
Right.
in the ways that I'm truly supposed to.
100%.
So I think it's just that reframing of like, I have the support system over here that's helping me
Yeah.
to work to create the greater vision
Right.
instead of just a piece of it.
Yeah. I think a lot of it has to do with releasing control,
Yeah.
which I think is hard for us.
Yeah.
And hard for business owners. It's hard for moms. And I have like someone in particular that I'm thinking about. And I just know that they could do so much more for themselves and for other people that would be good and they would be so passionate about and they'd be so happy, but they're so stuck doing all these things for everybody else that they're more than capable of doing them themselves.
Yeah.
But it's more of like, well, this is what I've always done and this is what they expect of me. And like, but I also think that that way of being is also preventing growth in those other people
Yeah.
and them taking ownership and them stepping up versus because they keep doing it. Just like if I were to keep doing everything around here, like the other day, the air conditionings didn't get turned down. And I was like, this is not my job to turn down the air conditioning. And I almost went around the building and turned down the air conditioning. But I was like, no, I need to find out who has ownership of this.
Yeah.
They need to do it because if I keep doing it for them, they're never going to build the habit or ever going to remember that this is their task and take ownership. And it's stupid, the air conditioning. But it's just like a small little example of when we keep doing things for people, then they're never going to grow. And then we're never going to get that time back to go and do what we're really meant to do.
Exactly. And I would just encourage anyone that's listening to try it.
Yeah.
Like, just give it a try. It doesn't mean that you have to do it forever. Nothing has to last forever.
Right.
And that's the beautiful thing about when you create a flexible organizational mindset is that when you have flexibility, then you have the capacity to be able to switch things around where
Right.
needed.
Right. Right.
We can switch our schedule, we can switch out our support system, like anything's possible. We don't have to stay in any kind of box, any kind of specific paradigm or framework. Like we can evolve. And
100%.
so why not try it for a month, 30
Right.
days,
Right.
get more support and see what happens.
Yeah, I love that. I want to
See?
encourage people. Like, there's times where I just want to hire people and send people, like the lunches. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really wish I could just hire a company and send them to your house and my friend Cassie's house and everyone to do the lunches.
To find out how to do that, then
I went home and I told my husband, I was
I
like,
will-
oh my
I will
gosh.
purchase that
I go,
service.
all my friends are struggling with the lunches. Like, I really just want to have a lunch company that I just literally, but it's obviously the dietary needs. And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
kids all have their own, like what they don't eat. So it's like, I'm probably more of a nightmare. But
Well,
it's
and
just
it just gets boring for them.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
the same things, and most of them don't like bread. So I'm like, oh, like roll
I
up the
know.
lunch meat, like
Yeah, the darn peanut butter and jellies aren't any good
Yeah,
anymore,
no.
right? Okay, so let's segue into a topic that you're very passionate about is who they are becoming and moving into that role as well. So obviously we've talked a lot about taking ownership of your morning, really identifying who you are, who do you want to be, incorporating the support system so that you can really lean into who you want to become. And then stay true to yourself too, and then get rid of the old habits and things like that. So can we talk a little bit about that before we go into strategic leadership?
Sure.
Okay.
And I feel like this is such a great piggyback off
Yeah.
of what we were just talking about, because it truly is when you are doing things different, it's going to require a different kind of mindset and energy shift. The energy that we put towards moving to that quote unquote next level is going to look different. It doesn't mean doing more. And that's the one thing that I keep trying to hit that home for my clients is that they automatically think, well, if I go from 1 million to 5 million, or I'm adding 5 more team members, then I have to do so much more. I have to
Right.
hustle so much harder. And that's not the case, because what we really are creating is a better business model, is a reestablishment of the goals. What are we accomplishing from where we are to where we ultimately want to be? And once you've gotten this level, you have to manage your team differently. It doesn't mean that you are continuing to utilize that same workload
Right.
exactly as you are when you started. And
Right.
so it goes hand in hand with those patterns of the way that you operate. Like, this is what I'm comfortable with. This
Right.
is what I've done up until this point, and I don't want to let go.
Right.
And so part of this identity shift is, what are we letting go of so that we can welcome in new patterns, new behaviors, new ideas and concepts, and ultimately a new lifestyle.
Right.
And so for them to potentially walk away from their business or exit or develop strategic partnerships, we have to look at, okay, well, if you are going to do this, then this either needs to be removed, cut off, outsourced, or just completely be done a different way. And the shift in that is the acceptance of stepping fully into this new role, which requires confidence, right? Confidence not only in yourself, but also in the fact that you have the right people around you
Right.
that are supporting you in this way, because that's the greatest
Right.
fear, right? That we don't have that right support system so that we can actually step away when we want to.
Right.
And it is a risk. Any new change, any new thing that we're creating is risky. But what's the alternative, right? To stay the same, to stay the same exact headspace that we're in and create more and more overwhelm and more stress, even though you are bringing on potentially more clients and you're expanding. It's not worth it.
Right.
And so what I would encourage the listener to do is to really just recognize, like, what do they want this place to look like? What do they want to feel and experience?
Yeah.
And if they could imagine it in any way, what that looked like.
Right.
And I truly believe that you can build it out just in that way. But you
Right.
first have to decide what it is.
Right. And when I'm listening to you talk, I'm also thinking about working moms or moms that are getting want to get back into the workforce.
Yeah.
Because their kids are now in middle school or they're now in high school, or maybe they're just like in first grade and they don't need to be home as much, right? And they're wanting to step into that workforce and get the confidence that they need. And that can be really, really hard as well. So what are some traits or habits we can incorporate to start moving forward into that new identity so we can have that mindset of growth?
part of that is really showing up for ourselves and really establishing that level of commitment, which to some may seem selfish,
Yeah.
but it's not. And the reason I say it's not is because especially for working moms that are trying to navigate both spaces,
Yeah.
if we don't show up for ourselves in the essence of like working out, like taking time to make sure that you're moving your body on a daily basis, eating the right foods, getting enough sleep, journaling, the things that are going to help you to grow and evolve as a person. If we're not doing that, then it's going to be very difficult for us to show up in the best possible way.
Right.
So with that being said, that identity shift of like going from being more at home
Right.
to back into the workforce, I think really just having the understanding that if we prioritize those personal needs,
Yeah.
and we start the day like that every day, and then after we've taken that 10 to
Right.
15-minute time for a routine, and then jump into working with the kids, doing all of the kids' things.
Right.
Again, that's setting us up for not only spending time with them in the morning
Yeah.
because we've prepared the things that we need to do for ourselves, and then we can move fully on them instead
Right.
of like, vice versa. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think that for the working moms, again, it goes back to that nothing has to be forever and that we can always shift whatever we need to when we need to. We think that we're stuck. We think that, we've said yes to something and this is forever. Like,
Yeah.
I have to do this now for an extended period of time. I'm learning more and more every single day, regardless of, things that I've done in the past, that I can shift my life in any way that I want to,
Yeah.
including, if I want to take my kids out of school and homeschool them, if I want to work more hours, if I
Right.
want to work out more, if I want to wake up earlier, if I want to spend more time with my husband.
Right.
And I think that we forget that we have a choice in everything that we do.
Yeah.
Everything is a decision. It's beautiful and it's challenging at the same time
Yeah.
because we get so comfortable doing things a certain way.
Yeah.
But if you go back into the workforce and you're doing the mom thing and you're working and you're realizing that it's not what you thought it was and you're not happy, then stop doing it.
Yeah.
Make that shift and say, "Hey, I can get another job
Yeah.
or I can, spend more time at home."
Right.
I think that we have so many limitations built up within us because of past experience or
Right.
because of what society has told us for so
Right.
long that we have to be inside these specific frameworks of doing life a certain way. And we don't. We have complete accessibility to anything we want now. Think about it. If you wanted to build something, create something, we have ChatGPT, all kinds of AI. We have people that are more open than ever before to
Yeah.
ideas and concepts and partnerships. You go to people and you present them an idea, and you never know.
Right.
Anything, like I
Yeah.
said, is possible.
So I know you do a lot with visualization, right?
Mhm.
And so as I'm thinking about this whole becoming, stepping into this new role, whatever that role may be for no matter who you are, it could be any role. Can you talk about that? Like how you can visualize yourself in the future and who you want to become and like kind of just give us a little taste of that. Cause I know that you do some of those courses and classes
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So before we move into the strategic leadership, which I want to go into next, can we talk about the visualization?
Sure. So I love doing vision boards. It gets super fun. And now just this last year, I've recently gotten into the AI where I've been like inputting places that I want to see myself
Yeah.
going, and it actually puts your picture with the place, which so I did my entire vision board like that. So wherever I wanted to visit, the things I wanted to be doing, it was a AI version of me in those places. So
Oh,
it became so much
wow.
more realistic and super fun. But point being is I think that we have so much accessible to us right now
Yeah.
that we literally can create anything. We can develop anything from nothing to create something. And so my thought on this visualization is for us to really get clear on first of all what we don't want in life.
Right.
The things that we don't want are going to help us to understand what we do want. And when we have the clarity of the things that bring us the most joy and happiness, we could start building our world around that.
Yeah.
And so I say reach for the stars. Anything that you think is something that's important in this lifetime, to write it down and to expand on it. And something that I think is really fun, a fun little exercise, actually, I think you could do it for an entire month,
Yeah.
is write out 3 things every day. Like, for example, the month of May,
Yeah.
just in May. And 3 things a day that you want to accomplish in this lifetime. And then after that, so you've done it for an entire month,
Yeah.
every month, read that day on the specific day that you wrote those 3 things, read it. And then just keep internalizing those things as if it had already happened. And do it as if it's already been completed,
Mhm.
right? So you've already established this goal. I am here. I have already done this. And again, what that does is it builds out your subconscious so that you believe that it's already intricately woven into your
Right.
life. And so this also helps to clarify the little nuances of things that start happening in your life, which is so beautiful. You start connecting the dots and opportunities start to
Mhm.
open up. And I've never before now believed more in the manifestation aspect of having conversations with people, meeting
Yeah.
people, making connections, and just putting yourself out into the world where there's endless amounts of possibility.
Mhm.
I also want to say that I just don't believe in lack.
Yeah.
I think that lack is a total mindset.
Okay.
So when you believe in abundance and openness, you can welcome anything into your world.
Yeah. Well,
Anything can be possible because you simply are open to receiving it.
and you can also navigate and you can make decisions based on that too.
Mhm.
And you can like reduce some of the distractions or you can
Yep.
say no. Okay, my goal is to go here. One of my coaches had me do 55 things I want to accomplish in 5 years. And I mean, I'm still trying to get 55 things on there,
Yeah.
right? And then like at first it's like, okay, I want to grow my company or hey, I want to travel here. But like
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you have to go deeper.
Yeah.
Like really what is it that you want to do? Who you want to impact, right?
Yeah.
And there it was I don't even think I have 55 things on there right now.
Mhm.
But I used to do 135s, or like
Mhm.
where I want to be in 10 years. And a lot of things that I put down on paper, I was able to accomplish. But I think
Mhm.
it's because I put it there, I believed it, and I worked towards it. But I
Yeah.
also think, like you said, doors open, you come in contact with people. Like I had that I wanted to do this like dream vacation. Like a couple
Mhm.
years ago, I wanted to do a boat in the BBIs. And I just happened to be at a function with my uncle and it was an auction item and they bought it. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to actually do that. Like I
Yeah.
never thought like, okay, it's possible. And then I had like another bucket list trip and it was just like the stars are just aligning. I'm getting to do that. And not that it all has to be trips, right? But I do think in the manifestation of it and putting it out there and writing it down and believing it, it does actually lead you there because you're going to have the conversations with the people or you're going to make the decisions so that you can
Yeah.
get it.
Yep.
And you do those workshops throughout the year or are they typically just in the beginning of the year?
Typically in the beginning,
Okay.
but what I would love to start offering is quarterly revamping.
Yeah.
Because even though we are setting the trajectory in January for
Yeah.
all the things that we are wanting to accomplish throughout the year, I do think that there's a lot of things that we can continue to incorporate because a lot can happen in a quarter,
Oh, 100%.
right?
Yeah.
There can be a lot of shifting, a lot of adjusting, and we can set the tone for certain things. And then all of a sudden we got off track and are like, wait, why did that happen? I
Yeah.
need to recenter myself.
I always want to encourage people to just live life fully like today because you never know what's going to happen. I mean, health, there's
Yes.
different obstacles that can happen. And I know someone that's going through a thing right now where it's like their spouse is dealing with some health issues and
Mm.
now they're not going to be able to do all the things they were planning on doing.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it's happened to some other friends and family members of mine. And it's unfortunate that they were waiting till a certain time to go and do things versus living their life today,
Yeah.
manifesting that positivity and stuff. So, okay, I want to talk about strategic leadership because that is your wheelhouse. That's what you do. You work with a lot of CEOs, a lot of companies,
Mhm.
developing the systems, getting the people in the right seats. You have so many tools. We have so much time left. So I do want to make sure that we can get some nuts and bolts, but maybe incorporating like how to incorporate the systems or your philosophy of like getting clear on where you want the company to be. And you know more about this than I do. I'm incorporating a lot of things right now,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
if there are listeners out there that are running companies or even households, let's talk about how to like strategically plan and then execute.
So, what I'm seeing a lot now that's trending is that corporations and large organizations are looking at ways that they can bring in the entrepreneurial spirit which I absolutely love.
Yeah.
The entrepreneurial spirit is where you have more of an opportunity to vocalize opinions, to have more in-depth communications, to look at ways that as individuals, for the employees, they can go out and they can seize opportunities, whereas otherwise they were just basically given a specific set of systems and structure
Right.
that they follow, and then
Right.
this is like what you do every day. Like, just
Right.
follow this, and these
Custom.
are the results, right? But I think what a lot of organizations are seeing as they've been incorporating more of these ideals is that people become so much more creative and innovative.
Mhm.
And so with my leadership training, that is what we focus on. We start with the entrepreneurial mindset, and we look at ways that we can intricately weave in every single level of management, how we can bring that idea and concept to the table so that there's not only the systems and strategies, which we all need. We
Yeah.
all need like structure in order for something to be fulfilled or a goal to be met, but that there's also this element of like, I have control over my life too.
Right.
Like, I have the ability to be able to make changes so that we can reach the budget based
Right.
on maybe me going out into the community and creating an idea on my own.
Right.
Like, I'm doing something that I'm personally creating versus just like you can only do this and this, kind of like we were talking
Yeah.
about before, like this specific framework. I think that people are getting away from inside the box thinking where that you have to be like so rigid and follow,
Yeah.
this exact structure and system in
Yeah.
order for something to thrive. And
It's
so
interesting because I've been like all over the place with my leadership. Like I was just thinking
yeah.
like, oh my gosh, we're gonna restructure again and we're gonna be changing this again. Like we're always like not that we're always, but we do something. If it's not working, then we're like very quick to change it and start something different
Yeah.
or approach it very differently. And like a lot of my coaches have been like, we got to develop the systems, we got to implement the systems. Like everyone needs to follow the systems. But then again, it's like there's not the opportunity to be creative, to adapt, to pivot and move certain other ways. So
So I
feel
like
there's
the term organized flexibility because yes, you do have to have some type of system,
yeah.
but the evolution of how people operate
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
especially post COVID, this, like it's
Right.
different.
Right.
People are not on the same page. The way people show up to work, the way that people do work like on
Yeah.
a daily basis, their idea and concept of what work truly means to them is
Yeah.
different. A lot of people want to be hybrid. A lot of people want to be outside of the office. They don't want to be stuck behind a desk.
Yeah.
And so what I look at with the organizations is I ask, how much movement is there?
Right.
How much are they moving around? How much accessibility do they have to each other? Are they stuck in a desk? Are they like in a cubicle all day?
Yeah.
Because that's not helping anyone to grow or evolve
Right.
from a leadership standpoint. They can do their work really well and they can make calls and they can, maybe connect at lunchtime. But what are
Yeah.
we doing in the interim space that's helping us to feel like that there is more flow?
Right.
And so
Unity.
exactly, unity and compatibility where there is common ground.
Right.
Despite differences, there's areas that I think we can all work on together
Yeah.
to become better. And I know that that's something that you're really good at. You provide leadership training, you have a lot of communication with your team, and that's obviously a part of this frame. But I think just from more of an innovative standpoint, we just have to look at where everything is going and what is going to lift people up in the best possible way outside of just professional development when they're in the workspace.
Yeah.
What are the things that are going to motivate them and keep them excited to keep going
Right.
outside of just little incentives here and there?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
so it's like looking at where they are and then what their personal goals are for the organization.
So, are you finding that you're having to have a lot of conversations with the leadership teams and the CEO to change their mindset? Where it's like, we have to adapt, we have to change if you want to create the movement and create an opportunity for people to be more creative?
Yes. Yes. I think that there's a lot of resistance. And in some cases, they're like, I don't know about this. Like, there's kind of like deer in a headlight.
Yeah.
But, for those that have been stuck in their ways for 30 years,
Yeah.
it's understandable to see like, why that those changes can be scary. But with the new workforce coming in and the millennials and their mode of
Yeah.
operation, obviously that's going to be incredibly different than the
100%.
boomers.
Yeah.
So I'm just coming at it from a fresh look. My name means Genesis.
Yeah.
Genesis means beginning, excuse me.
Yeah.
And so I think to myself, like, what's a new beginning that we can create for this organization that's going to be young, exciting, and help everyone to thrive? And
Right.
so I believe truly that it's newfound energy, newfound movement in some capacity every day. And again, they don't necessarily like the idea of the movement aspect because they want to just get the work done quickly, be sitting at the desk, make the phone call,
Yeah.
finish your work as quickly as you can. But what
Yeah.
they don't realize is that when the bandwidth is really low for
Yeah.
that individual, when they're multitasking so much, is that there's so many things falling through the cracks.
Well, it's like you're on the hamster wheel, you're doing the task, you're trying to get like for like, our team, it's like getting through the sales calls, getting through this many, and then sometimes it's more about like the quantity versus the quality. And then like,
Yeah.
too, like we've been doing this for 10 years and I do a lot of reflecting about the 10 years and the people that were working and the roles they had and where we're going. And the time is flying by so fast and we're so focused on like next month's goal and where we're going and
Mhm.
what's like, okay, now we're working on summer camp, where it's like we're forgetting sometimes to just like embrace the journey and be
Yeah.
part of it and really just like lean into like on a daily basis what we're accomplishing and what we have to be proud of and the impact we're making. And so that's kind of where I'm kind of I'm trying to go in the future along with the restructuring. And,
Yeah.
we have a lot of different people on our team too, different personalities, different ages. We have some people that are married, some people that are single, some people that are older, some people that are young.
Yeah.
There's so many differences as well. So even as a leader, trying to manage all that and keep everybody at the forefront and try to make everybody happy and keep everybody focused on like the goal can be exhausting at times.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I just think to myself too, if we can create a culture of positivity, obviously that's going to make all the difference in the world. And if we
Yeah.
could help that be passed down to everyone so
Yeah.
that each individual, as we talked about before, could be a light in
Yeah.
part of the organization so that they, even if they did one significant thing, meaning like, gave someone a compliment or smiled at
Yes.
someone
Yeah.
and say, I really appreciate you. If they could make that a goal every single day to make an impression on someone else,
Yeah.
I think that that in itself just breeds such positive culture.
It does. Yeah, we do a couple of things and we usually do like a February at our staff meeting, which I totally forgot to do this year. It's like everybody comes in, they write like a positive thing on a piece of paper, like a note card
Mm.
as you come in. And then as you leave, you just pick one out,
Oh,
right?
I love
And
that.
then it's like,
That's very cute.
oh my God, it was amazing. We totally forgot to do it. Usually we do it in love. And then I typically will have them this month at one of my coffee and conversations write a love letter to themselves. And then I mail
Oh,
it out in June. So in the like the brunt of summer camp. And we would do one more thing to help with boosting that culture, which is the Wow Wednesdays. So it's something that we all vote on and then somebody gets acknowledged in our Slack on Wednesdays. And
that's so important.
so there's things that we're doing like that. But we still do a lot of that, but I still feel like there's always more we can do. And you're going to have some team members that are engaged and some that are not as engaged. I was just in
Yeah.
a CEO forum training yesterday and it's all about, the people that are just watching everything happen and just
Mhm.
coming. She had a terminology for it. I'm drawing a blank on it right now. But how do you engage everybody to where
Mhm.
like they want to be there, they're happy to be there, and they're grateful to be there too.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up, I always love to ask, based on everything we talked about, based on your philosophy and how you operate, if there's one thing that a listener can do to implement into their daily life or even just tomorrow, what would that one thing would be that you would encourage them to do for themselves?
I would say that it's never too late to begin again. And every single day is a new opportunity for you to accomplish something amazing or unique or special. We have a limited number of days, and every day is a gift. Every day we wake up, and I think to myself when I open my eyes, I'm alive.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm breathing. And the fact that we are here, we have a purpose, right? We have a reason to get out there, do something, and make something happen. So to me, that's enough of a motivation to go after your dreams.
I love you. It's amazing. All right. So I'm assuming that many people are going to want to attend your events or participate. I know you do an inner circle training and you have a lot of women in business that you're working with, and men as well. I know you're working with a lot of huge companies now. Congratulations, by the way.
you.
So tell our listeners, how do they connect with you? Some of the services that you have, or if you have an event that's coming up in the future, or if they can just get on a call with you.
Sure. So I'm available, accessible, I should say, on all socials, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I just recently dipped my toe into TikTok, so just started there. But very excited. I have a new website, genesiskrick.com. I've just rebranded from
fun.
Dream Ignite Build to
Okay.
Elevate. So
Okay.
very excited about that. But you can find all of my events on my Linktree. So Linktree/Genesis Hey Krick. And all my coaching programs, my upcoming events, and anything else that I have going on will be listed there.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining me. I loved our conversation
you.
today.
Me
Thank you all for
too.
tuning in. So grateful that you were here with us. Gonna definitely remind you to give us a review, but better yet, think of 5 people that could benefit from today's episode and send this to them. You can send it via text. It's super easy. And we just want to say thank you so much for tuning in. As Genesis said earlier, you have one life. Make it the best. Start today. Choose you. And definitely take some time in the morning, whether it's just getting up 5 or 10 minutes earlier to take a deep breath. Think about who you want to become and what you want to do that's going to make you happy that day. Cheers, and we'll see you on the next episode. I want to encourage you to get my book, The Stroke It Guide, available on Amazon and my website. The book is what you need to know from the boardroom to the bedroom. It talks about how to stroke yourself, your spouse, your partner, your friends, your family, most importantly, your employer, employees. And of course, there's a chapter just for the bedroom. Go to Amazon today and get my book, The Stroke It Guide.